Shalom, I'm Joey Benami. Americans are glued to their TVs and computer screens every day, shocked and disbelieved at the news of what's happening to their beloved country. A day of news is like a year's worth of news, and the scandals of yesterday are quickly surpassed by a new round of news more outrageous than the day before. What's happening to America? Indeed, what's happening to the world? Bible believers know this must be the fulfillment of prophecies. But which prophecies exactly? Some suggest this one or that one. Others shy away from specifics because these look so complicated. We know we must be knocking on the doors of the tribulation, so I suggest that we look there. Let's look together at the events that must take place just prior to the tribulation in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Now we request you, brethren, with regard to the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and our gathering together to Him, that you not be quickly shaken from your composure or be disturbed either by a spirit or a message or a letter as if from us, to the effect that the day of the Lord has come. Let no one in any way deceive you, for it will not come unless the apostasy comes first and the man of lawlessness is revealed. Paul's teaching is that the tribulation cannot start unless first we have two processes come to maturity or fulfillment. One is the apostasy of the church. The other is the revelation of the man of lawlessness. Now, concerning the revelation of the man of lawlessness, the passage continues by saying in verse 6, "And you know what restrains him now, so that in his time he will be revealed. For the mystery of lawlessness is already at work. Only he who now restrains will do so until he is taken out of the way. Then that lawless one will be revealed." There are 5 things that this passage clearly says about this subject. 1, there is a man of lawlessness. 2, he is being restrained now until his time comes. 3, lawlessness is at work but restrained. 4, the restraint will be removed. 5, when the restraint is removed, the lawless one will be revealed. Let's take a look at these things one by one. First, there is a man of lawlessness. The phrase man of lawlessness means a man characterized by lawlessness. His ascension to power and operation are all in lawlessness. But what is lawlessness? The word law in lawlessness is the word used in the New Testament to speak of the Torah. The books of Moses, or the Torah, is composed of the statutes, the judgments, and the instructions. The instructions have to do with the sacrifices in the tabernacle and the temple. The statutes have to do primarily with idolatry and things related to that. And the judgments have to do with the court system. It is this last one that best fits this passage. So the man of lawlessness is characterized by perverting the legal system, the law. 2, he is being restrained now until his time. Paul says that the Thessalonians knew what restrained this man, but for us, that's not very clear. However, in verse 7, Paul explains that what restrains centers around or has to do with the mystery of lawlessness. 3, lawlessness is at work but restrained. The mystery of lawlessness is at work, but in what sense is lawlessness a mystery? Well, a mystery is something hidden, so the mystery of lawlessness means a hidden lawlessness. Paul is saying that lawlessness was already presently active in his time. It was at work, but hidden, restrained. It operated in the background, not prominently. And he continues by saying that something restrains the man of lawlessness, and someone restrains the mystery of lawlessness. We then have two questions. First, what is the thing that restrains the man of lawlessness? The answer is the entity that enforces the law. It isn't just the law that restrains, but the thing that enforces, that is behind the law. The second question is, who is the one restraining the mystery of lawlessness? The answer is the one that enforces the law. You see, the key is that lawlessness is kept restrained by an entity and by a person who leads that entity. And the way lawlessness is restrained is by enforcing the law. 4. The restraint will be removed. Verse 7 says, only he who now restrains will do so until he is taken out of the way. When the one who restrains is taken out of the way, so is the thing restraining. To restrain means to hold up the advance of something or someone by standing in the middle. That's what a traffic policeman does. The idea is to keep the order by preserving everyone's rights. That is what the law and the courts are meant to do. The restraint is supposed to last from Paul's time until the restraint is removed. Our position is that this removal is a process happening right now. We've said that the thing that restrains is the enforcement of law, and the one restraining is the one enforcing the law. What then is that law being enforced? The law that restrains. Listen closely now. The manifestation of the man of lawlessness is to rule, so his manifestation is political. But it is in lawlessness. And it is through political maneuvering, through perverting the law. And because we know that his manifestation is to rule over nations, then we can assume that the law that he perverts in order to ascend to power is international law. He will be a man characterized by perverting international law. Now, international law is based on what is called the law of nations. And the law of nations has to do with natural laws, with common sense laws, with the rights and freedoms endowed by the Creator. These are the rights that preserve individual liberties, things like the sanctity of life, private property, the pursuit of happiness as we know it in America, the right to self-defense and to have just trials. It also includes the family, things like marriage, children, and parenting. It includes the freedom of religion and the sovereignty of nations, the rights of nations to self-defense, to have secure borders, and to self-determination. It also includes international relations, things like treaties, peace, and just war. In light of this, lawlessness, unrestrained, has to do with a revolt by the nations against the law of nations, or the nations united against God. This is a revolt against God and all those who follow Him and His laws. More specifically, is a revolt against one nation, Israel. That is exactly what the tribulation is all about. The revolt against the law of nations is legitimized by the body created to uphold that law, the United Nations. You see, the United Nations does not have the political will to enforce the law of nations. They do not restrain lawlessness. They appease those who oppress the rights of other nations. They pervert the rights of nations, and particularly Israel's rights to exist, to self-defense, and to have secure borders. They may say that they are for peace, but they really are for violence, because they violate the law of nations. In the last century, The United States has been the one restraining lawlessness in the world, enforcing natural law, restraining the nations from succeeding against Israel, being the world's policeman. The United States, through its representative, its president, has been the one holding the advance and standing in the middle of the lawlessness of the nations. They have kept the order in the world by preserving the rights of nations. But is the restrainer now in the process of being removed? America's leading role as the restrainer is despised and being removed by its own current president. America is no longer holding the advance of nations who oppress other nations. America is appeasing oppressors, the Islamic terrorists. And America is not defending the oppressed, be it individuals or nations. It is now oppressing Israel. So, what's happening to America? Lawlessness. Lawlessness is being unrestrained. An official revolt against God, His followers, and Israel is taking place. First, nationally, perverting the Constitution, the checks and balances of Congress, and the court system. But it is also international, appeasing terrorists, oppressing Israel, not defending the rights of nations being oppressed. And this is all happening not through war, but by a violent legal appeasement known as political correctness. 2 Thessalonians 2:9 says, "The one whose coming is in accord with the activity of Satan, and with all the deception of wickedness. For this reason, God will send upon them a deluding influence, so that they will believe what is false, in order that they may all be judged who did not believe the truth, but took pleasure in wickedness." This satanic deception and deluding influence has the vehicle of political correctness, the accomplice of worldwide media. At the heart is playing the harlot for money, power, and status. It legislates evil into law and disregards laws in order to persecute and prosecute those who disagree. And it is a perversion of law and rights, outlawing good and legitimizing or legalizing evil. This is what's happening to America, to Israel, and to the world. This is the one prophecy being fulfilled right now. The restrainer is being removed. This one prophecy gives a frame of reference to all other prophetic fulfillments. Number 5. When the restraint is removed, the lawless one will be revealed. Verse 8 says, "Then that lawless one will be revealed." The word "then" refers to the time when the restraint is removed. When the restrainer is removed, the stage is set for the man of lawlessness to be manifested. And this is one of the prerequisites for the beginning of the tribulation. The word tribulation means oppression. It means an oppression that in the Torah is about perverting the rights of other people and other nations. But God personally defends the oppressed. He redeems them by His mighty hand and His outstretched arm. That means judgments that bring the oppressor an ironic reversal of what they meant to do. That's what God did for Israel in the Exodus. In the book of Revelation, it's actually a repeat of the Exodus, not just with one nation, but with all the nations, because all the nations will oppress Israel. The tribulation is primarily about Israel. It's called the time of Jacob's trouble. And it is about the nations oppressing Israel, all uniting by perverting Israel's international rights to existence, to self-defense, and to have secure borders in their God-given land. All of this will be done by perverting God's rights given to Israel. The biggest perversion of international law is to take away the land given to Israel. And the biggest oppression against one nation is when all the nations, without any basis, boycott Israel, condemn them in the international courts, terrorize them, and sell Israel's rights and security to preserve their own economies, to gain political favors, and for grandiose historical achievements. All of this is not possible because the path has been cleared for the nations to do so now that the restrainer of lawlessness, the United States of America, is taken out of the way. We believe that the process of removing America as the restrainer of lawlessness might be completed with America officially abandoning Israel at the United Nations, forcing Israel to give up land, and also with America officially empowering Israel's enemies with nuclear weapons. This will not go without consequences, as no one who comes against God's land goes unpunished, and no one perverts Israel's rights without suffering eventually a catastrophic demise. In this year of the Shemitah, and with the warning signs in the sun and the moon, America is being tested. And so far, it has only sown bad seeds. And as the fruit of evil actions matures through the course of the year, a bitter harvest approaches. Those who understand the times must act accordingly. Those who understand prophecies must act like prophets, repenting from personal participation, repenting on behalf of the nation, and teaching the nation how to truly and humbly